When you stress, you regress. So your little one, though he's 18 months old or 24 months old or whatever he may be, when he's in a moment of stress, he's not at 2 anymore. He's back to infancy. So he'll continue to go back to infancy every time he gets stressed. And that's important because a lot of times you'll find a 2-year-old wants you to pick him up. And you're, in our biggest problem for 2-year-olds is in our society, because in our society we want to take 2-year-olds and we want to make them little mini adults. That's a big problem. This little person needs your regulation. He needs your oxytocin. He needs your soothing. He needs your kindness. He needs your gentle support. He needs your understanding, she, during all of their transition challenges. So really, it's going to be better for you if you view your 2-year-old as closer to an infant than you do, a little person. And in truth, in reality, they really are closer to being a baby than they are being a mini adult. But we live in such a fast-paced, stressed-out society. We keep wanting to push our kids, and that's the same thing with sleep. Lay down with your kids. Let them sleep in the bed with you. Let them sleep in the room with you. Give them time. Give their brains time to develop. Give their oxytocin responses time to develop and to be able to modulate their own stress. That way, when they finally do start sleeping by themselves, they'll lay down and they'll go to sleep and they'll sleep all night. So the other thing about twos is the tantrums. We call them tantrums. They're not tantrums. They're like infants crying. Pick him up, pick her up, soothe them just like you would a baby. Give them a bottle, right? I mean, it's every time your child starts to reach a new developmental milestone, he or she's going to regress back to an earlier stage. So before they can move forward, they got to back up. And remember that, because you could have a 2-year-old who's already walking and all of a sudden he starts crawling again. And you're like, what the heck is going on? Get up and walk. Well, that's because he's actually backing up, getting ready to make a developmental leap. So it's really important that you just be patient. He's only going to be 2 once. You're only going to have this little period of time for a small period, a short period of time. So nurture your child as long as you can. You cannot spoil a child. This is another misconception. You cannot spoil a child by picking them up too much, by feeding them too much, by loving on them too much. There's no such thing as spoiling a child in that manner. You can't spoil a child internally. You can only spoil a child externally by overindulging them and giving them more than what they need, giving them things as opposed to you. That's the only way you spoil a child. You don't spoil a child by holding them too much and loving on them too much. And if they're crying for you, it's because they need you. So slow down, be gentle. This time is short. You're not going to get it back. And just take your time. There's no rush. You're investing in your child now. You're making a short-term investment for a long-term gain. Every time you give of yourself, every time you give into their needs and their stress and their cries, just try to put out all that noise about where they should be or how they should be and all this garbage about, having peer interaction and socializing. That's some crap. At that age, really the last thing the child needs to be doing is hanging out with other kids because they're all just as stressed out as she is. Keep your child home, nurture them, soothe them. If you got to send them to daycare, I understand that too. When you get home, be available, be present, hold them, carry them around, feed them, love on them, sleep with them, let them sleep with you. Do all the good stuff. And do it as long as you possibly can. Don't listen to society. Society is wrong when it comes to this stuff. I mean, that's why we have so many stressed out adults right now, because all the us as adults grew up with all these notions about letting kids cry themselves to sleep and making them take care of themselves as soon as they possibly can. That's wrong, ladies and gentlemen. That's not nurturing regulation. That's pushing children into independence before they're ready, and that's always going to lead to a problem. So I just want to encourage you, slow down, be patient, love your children while they're young, give in to them, realize their brain's on fire, feed them, nurture them, love on them, and love on them, and love on them some more, and that's all I got to say about that topic. So remember, in any given situation, any given experience, we all have 2 choices. We can continue to be overwhelmed and react from our imprints of fear and stress, or we can stop, we can take some deep breaths, slow down, and we can choose love.
Choose love. Choose love. Choose love. Choose love.